You ever just want to quit your job, buy a boat, sail around the world?
Well, what if we told you that was possible?
I'm Raph.
And I'm Sasha.
With more willpower than money and a dream to become pirates,
We bought a sinking sailboat and spent the next 9 months transforming it.
Into one of the sexiest boats on the 7 seas.
There is nothing that can get in the way of us sailing around the world.
So grab your popcorn, hit subscribe, and be prepared for one hell of a story.
The story of our lives.
This is the journey of Spirit Animal. One of the wisest forefathers of our current generation, who goeth by the name Sir Drizzy Draketh, once said, and I quote, "Started from the bottom, now we're here." This was a quote Sasha and I could feel in our bones. Yes, it was a little premature to be chanting, but good lord did that line hit home. I mean, we've been swimming in mud trying to keep our heads up for the last 8 months now, and we finally have a place that feels like home. No more bailing water, our boat floats. No more balancing on floor beams. We have floors, and no more doing dishes in the river. We have a kitchen and an office. Started from the bottom, now we're here. The only problem with that line is that here is not where we set out to be. We still have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're pioneering unfamiliar territory, which means we will often make mistakes and have to learn from them. And speaking of, we got some problems to fix right now. Alright, so we try to take advantage of too much space, and this is why. They had all this dead space in the back, so we put a cabinet back here just for extra liquor bottles in our case. But if you look back here, the fridge, when it goes all the way in, the fridge compressor fan is literally a quarter of an inch away from this. And we found out that our compressor was getting real hot. When we would open this drawer up, the drawer would be really, really warm. So it's not efficient for the compressor to do that. So I've come up with a solution. I got some perforated metal here, galvanized metal. It's got holes in it. And what I'm gonna do is, I've already cut them to size with some tin snips, but I'm going to set them down just like this in the bottom, and I'm gonna cut out a hole so that this shelf is now a perforated holy shelf with plenty of airflow. So if the front's perforated and the bottom's perforated, then all this air, this cool air from the bottom of the boat is gonna be funneling in here, and there's plenty of air back there to keep that compressor nice and cold.
And you dream about this very night when the moon runs down the summer sky. Could it be the morning of the spring when the sea runs dry and start to sing? Have you heard from the sky all about it? Down the river, high tide flows around it. Through the whispers of pines, I hear them sing. The more you love, the more you live.
Alright, this sets in there. The way I cut it out, it bent the metal so that the sharp is on the edge and in the corners. This sets on the inside. Okay, very tight fit. It's nice and sturdy. And then, same thing. Sharp edges are on this side. We're gonna set this in, and it's gonna go flat against this wall, so you're not gonna catch any sharp edges along here. Not in the corners, not on the edges. And that sucker is a breathable shelf. Okay, now that the grates are in,
It's time to do the dirty work. But before we get into that, we want to thank this week's sponsor, Element. We love Element because it only has 3 key ingredients to help us stay hydrated throughout the entire day, whether we're working out, working on the boat, or spearfishing.
Sasha and I are absolutely terrible about stopping and taking a water break. And sometimes the environment we're in doesn't allow us to. But even the days we're on top of our game and drink plenty of water, we've learned your body won't absorb that water or nutrients without the proper electrolytes in your system. And as soon as we started drinking Element, we realized this is not a gimmick. These are facts, because we noticed a difference right away. Element has no sugar, no gluten, and no dodgy ingredients like the other brands. And for the record, it's keto, paleo, and vegan friendly, and it will not break a fast.
And the best part is, if you want to try Element, they are offering all of our viewers a free sample pack with any order, which includes all 8 flavors for you to try if you use our link, drinkelement.com/spiritanimal.
Okay, now that the grates are in,
It's time to do the dirty work. So I'm going to put 6 screws in to make sure that it holds that grate in place. 1 on each corner and 1 on each edge. Well, the longer edges.
Have you heard from the sky all about it? Down the river, high tide flows around it. Through the whispers of pines, I hear them sing. The more you love, the more you live.
beautiful placement.
I learned from the best. We just had some friends give us a call, so we took a small break from the project, and it made me realize that I'm color coordinated today. Gotta color coordinate for the job. Come on!
I gotta send them a picture
What kind of picture?
of me and this who. They're trying to say they caught a bigger fish than me. Not true.
Fan's going.
Okay, now that it's in here, we cut this out originally because we thought that was going to be enough, but it wasn't. But now you can see how close it really was to the wood. I mean, we're talking a 1/4 inch. So now this fan is pulling air from that grate.
This made a major difference in the way that the fridge was running. It was cooling off just fine, and there was no more heat coming from the drawer or from behind the fridge. As far as the freezer goes, we haven't run into this problem yet because it's not wired up. But we made some modifications to the cabinet, so when we do turn it on, we won't run into any of those problems.
So what I'm going to do is cut a hole right there. And I got this vent. I'm going to slap that thing right there. Okay, so there is a good look at our compressor. This is how it's gonna finish off. It looks good. It's almost the same color, and we don't have to worry about our freezer getting hot. It's gonna be nice and efficient. So there's one more thing I'm gonna do. Right now, the fan is actually located on the side of this, and it's up against the side of the wall. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out and put it on this side, and that way it's just gonna be blowing directly on these coils, and it's gonna be pulling fresh air straight out of that vent. These fans are super cheap, and they only draw 3 watts, which is next to nothing. So if we need to add another fan, we'll probably mount it in the opposite direction so that we have one fan pulling in cold air and the other blowing out hot air.
So you know when you live on a boat and you think you're finally getting things done?
Your stove starts to get hot, and your countertop starts cracking, and your brain stops working.
Yeah, we have backtracked, like 5 steps now? We thought we had things done, we were checking them off the list, and now we're erasing those check marks and having to check them off again.
3 steps forward, 2 steps back, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, so right now we have the kitchen is torn apart, we don't have our stoves together, and air fryer's over there. Everything is everywhere. Our big issue right now is that the dinghy is sinking. We have been driving around the dinghy looking like that. Side note, as you can see, I have a massive bruise here on my cheek.
I keep my pimp hand strong.
No, that's not how this works. Look at this. Anytime I hang out with this guy, I end up with a black eye or a bruised cheek.
Hold on, you can't just be saying that. Especially for people just tuning in. They don't abuse it.
No, the black eye was from a tiger shark.
But the cheek, that thing's not gonna go away if you keep misbehaving.
You think I'm making you look bad.
3 days ago.
I got my wisdom tooth taken out. I only had one, luckily.
She only had 1 wisdom tooth, and it just started to come out, so she went to the dentist, went to get it out, and now she can't feel the side of her face.
So I'm smiling.
Look at this pirate, say arr!
Arr.
Now smile. Smile.
I
So cute. So are you gonna work today, or are you gonna use this as an excuse to get out of everything?
Well, if I was a little wussy, I would use it as an excuse, but we gotta get some shit done. Do I look like a chipmunk or a hamster?
You don't have to do those faces to look like one. Just be regular.
That's my kissy face. But I feel fine.
Everyone bow your heads and pray for Sasha. Okay, moving on to our beautiful gimbaling air fryer stove combo. This is something we've never really seen in a boat, and we've never had any instructions on how to build. So we ran into some problems. Basically, we had no clue how much heat and steam this air fryer actually put out. And this heat and steam eventually caused the countertop to swell and crack. Now after looking at it, it looks like a glue joint failed because it cracked right in the seam where two pieces of wood were glued together. And after looking at it even further, there was no brown markings or any burnt looking areas, so I really don't think we were close to burning the boat down. However, there was a lot of steam, and so we got to protect the countertop and the air fryer box from all this heat. First off, we fixed the countertop, we glued it together, we clamped it, we refinished it, and it's looking brand new. Now for the ventilation, we cut some holes in the side of the box, a bunch of them. We cut holes in the top of it so that the rising heat can escape, and we also cut holes anywhere there was a vent on the side of the air fryer so it could breathe better.
But don't worry, you'll never be able to see any of these holes. Even when the stove's gimbaling, you're not going to be able to see them. And last but not least, we applied a heat reflective tape on the underside of the countertop, which can withstand up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit and reflect up to 90% of radiant heat. After all these modifications, our air fryer is now working properly and our countertop is protected from all this heat.
Okay, so after addressing all of our problems, it's time to venture back off into the unknown and do a custom, one-of-a-kind upgrade to our watermaker fill line. So we moved our watermaker diverter valves, but it's still the same setup. Here you've got the incoming water line, and then we put in this T-valve, which when you turn to the left, directs the water into one of our 3 tanks. So right there, this is starboard, port, and forward tank. Before we put the water in the tanks, we like to prime out the water that's sitting in those filters. It smells like rotten eggs, so we don't want that water going into our tank. So we turn this lever this way, and it's an overflow. This line right here. But we've been holding it up there, and then when you turn it off, there's water in the line, and you set it back down, and all the water spills under your hatch. So we're trying to come up with a permanent solution. We've looked all over for a spigot. Just a nice little spigot, and we can't find one. Something that's just really small. You either have these huge things, which also have a lever on it, so if this lever was closed, you could blow up your membranes. So we have an old faucet for a water tap. So what I'm gonna do is cut this and drill into the sink, which is really scary. Brand new sink. And we're just gonna have this right here as our overflow. Okay, so we let this piece dry overnight and it turned out really, really good. The epoxy is hardened. This sucker is not moving at all. It's really tight. Really good. So now we're just gonna silicone it in. Let's tighten this bolt. Mineral spirits cleans that right up. Boom. That looks professional. Man, it looks built in. Okay, back to the back. Let's click this thing in. Boom. Perfect, all done. Put your cupboard back up together.
And it's like it's always been there.
Boom.
Bam.
We just got new mattresses.
Whoa!
We got these sleep-on latex mattresses.
When we first bought the boat, we had to get rid of every single mattress on the boat, as well as the slats and everything. So now we have new frames for all the mattresses to sit on. And we came across this brand, Sleep On Latex, because we had to throw those old mattresses away because they were nasty, mildewy, gross. And the bonus of getting latex mattresses is they're antimicrobial. And these ones specifically, you can cut yourself.
They are perforated with a bunch of holes, so it lets air come through, especially if you have the slatted bed frame. And actually, this is the last cabin that we have to do. We've been sleeping on our Sleep On Latex mattress in this cabin for about 4 months now, and I gotta say, it's significantly cooler than the other mattresses we had. No joke. When you lay on it, it's just, you can feel the air that's trapped inside of these mattresses, and it's just a lot cooler, and it's really comfortable.
If that's not enough to sell you, then I don't know what is. The hardest part about buying a mattress for a boat is that most boat mattresses aren't perfectly rectangle. They're crazy shapes, and it costs thousands of dollars to order a custom fitted mattress. Well, you can cut these to any shape you want. And on top of that, they are antimicrobial, meaning they will never mold or mildew, even if they get wet. And that is a big bonus, especially living on a boat. Now, we don't have very much headroom in our aft cabins, so instead of buying the full 8-inch mattress, we opted for stacking 2 toppers on top of each other, a 2-inch medium and a 3-inch firm, giving us a 5-inch mattress. We measured the width of the bed frame every foot, which gave us the curve of the bed, and then we took that and we transferred it onto the mattresses with a marker. And after that, we took the sharpest fillet knife we had and started cutting it out along the lines that we just drew.
Okay, we got the mattresses all cut out. They fit nicely. Perfecto. Time to go change the mattress cover.
We didn't show the part where Sasha was hemming up the mattress covers, but she's an absolute wizard behind the sewing machine. And if you don't have that skill set, it's still probably cheaper for you to get these mattresses, mark them up, take them to a seamstress, and have them do it.
And now that the mattresses are installed, it's time to attack the bathrooms. What are you doing?
I am making a shower bench so you can shave those prickly legs. So what I did is I fold this in half, and once you're a little bit close, then you can hold your pencil with a little spacer on it and go like this, and then you cut that line, and that's your perfect angle. So now this was a little long, and I cut this back, and that is my template. So let's go cut this out.
We used some of the leftover butcher block, which Rolf traced the stencil onto before cutting it out with a jigsaw. Then we sanded it down, sanding down the edges, and took it inside to test fit it to make sure there were no other adjustments we had to make.
We're gonna angle it forward just a hair so that it can drain.
Once we had it fitting properly, we pre-drilled our holes before staining it and finishing it with 4 coats of poly to make sure it was sealed up well. We used silicone in all the screw holes and around the entire edge of the bench to make sure there was no water intrusion or squeaking while we were underway. All that was left was to put the bench in place, and our walk-in shower was complete. So originally the boat came with all pump heads. And so what we did was we obviously took the toilet out up front. We wanted to make that as specifically a garage/washroom. And this one, we took the head out as well to make strictly a shower. And then that leaves us 2 heads. We're also adding new electric toilets, a new countertop with a larger sink, new faucet head, and we're gonna have a switch here for our shower pump. We're gonna take you through the rehab of lamifying the mermaid bathroom. Our mermaid, she's a little promiscuous, and we don't want to get flagged on YouTube, so yeah. The first project we tackled was the shower pump toggle switch. One switch was so we didn't have to hold down the shower pump button, and the second one was for backup just in case we ever wanted to add any additional lighting. All good. Once we had the switch working, it was time to move on to the toilet. We started by removing all the plumbing lines from the old toilet, and then unfastening it from the floor so we could remove it and replace it with our brand new Jabsco Light Flush toilet. The best part about this Jabsco Light Flush toilet is it has the same footprint as the old pump toilet, so it's a super easy swap out. From here, it's pretty much plug and play. We applied some 4200 on the screw holes, so that way we didn't have to worry about any water intrusion underneath the flooring. Since we didn't have access underneath the flooring, we used lag bolts to screw down the toilet, but we recommend using through bolts if you can. Once we had the base securely mounted, we put the screw caps on, and it was time to move on to the plumbing and electric. Our plumbing was pretty much identical to what we had, so it was just a matter of loosening and tightening hose clamps. And for the electric, it came with this nice control panel, which allowed you to fill and flush the toilet, which we had to mount in a convenient location. And finally, once everything was mounted and connected, we put on the toilet seat and tested it out.
As far as an install level goes, I would say 3 out of 10. It's really not that hard, it's pretty much plug and play. And after dropping a couple bombs in this toilet, it can pretty much handle anything you throw at it, including 3-ply toilet paper.
He's right. These toilets are pretty awesome. But after we got the toilets installed, we had to do something about the rest of the bathroom because the countertops and sinks were pretty banged up.
Starting off with the countertops, you can see these things are pretty banged up. They got scratches and chips all over them. They're painted different colors, so they gotta go. The best tools for the job was a pry bar and a hammer, which allowed us to remove the countertop and expose all the silicone underneath. We then took a razor blade and cut all of it off. After that, we cut down the countertop we made at my buddy's house so they could fit perfectly in each bathroom. Of course, we went with the biggest sink possible because who wants to clean up a mess? And plus, countertops are kind of pointless on a rocking boat.
Oh, that's a big boy.
So next we had to cut a hole out for the sink to fit in the countertop. And to do this, we used a scrap piece of plastic to make a stencil. We traced out the inside of the sink and then we cut it out with a razor blade. Now we had a perfect stencil we could use to transfer over to our piece of wood, which we were going to cut out with a jigsaw.
Oh shit.
What? It's filming?
I'm kidding.
Raph, you scared me!
I always got to find a way to mess with Sasha so I know she's paying attention. But after we got it cut out, sanded, stained, and finished, we put a thick layer of silicone on it and then stuck it to the bottom of the countertop, taping it in place and letting it sit overnight. The next day, we cut out the old fiberglass sink, leaving a little lip around the edge so that we could screw and mount the new sink to the old fiberglass lip. Then we screwed some pieces of trim on the wall so we could also secure the back side of the countertop to the bulkhead. We put silicone both on the fiberglass base and on all the walls so that this thing would be mounted permanently. Then we screwed it in place. After that, we drilled the hole for the new sink faucet, installed the drain, attached the plumbing, mounted the mirror, and that was it. The bathroom was looking good. Big moment.
Huge moment!
We got an order. It's a massive one.
Oh my god.
Look at that. We have to bring all that back to the boat on the dinghy.
About to fit that in the ding dong.
What you are witnessing in the back of this truck is every sailor's dream. Battleborn hooked us up with 5 8D 270 amp hour lithium batteries totaling 1350 amp hours. Along with this, we have a 5,000 watt inverter and all the bells and whistles to turn this boat into the floating solar powerhouse that Sasha and I have always dreamed of. So it goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyways, It's about to get lit.
Next week we have a very exciting and informative episode, so please hit that subscribe button so you get the notification bell. And once again, we really want to thank all of our patrons. You guys help us out so much more than you could ever even imagine, so thank you so much.
And if Patreon isn't for you guys, you can share and comment on this video. We read every single comment, although we don't always have time to respond to everyone. It really means a lot to us.
And lastly, we also just started a Cameo account, which means we can send personalized messages to you and your loved ones on your birthdays, holidays, it doesn't matter. If you want to quit your job, we will personally send your boss a message and tell them that you quit so you can buy a sailboat and sail around the world. See you next week.